What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I have a couple of things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Frank James case. There's some new information that came out late yesterday, and so I want to talk a little bit about that. I also want to talk about the U.S. Sun. The U.S. Sun posted an article last week, and this is more misinformation, so I want to let you guys know about this. This is a check going out in 4 days. That's what it said last week. We're going to take a look at that article, mainly the headline, because the headline is very misleading, so we're going to talk about that. But first off, on this channel, we talk about financial news and what's going on in Washington, D.C. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this Frank James case. So we saw that he was arrested yesterday, and that the information that we had at the time, or information that I had at the time, was that someone called in and reported and said that they saw him, and that's how he was arrested. Well, that someone did call in, but the person who called in was him. He called on himself and said that he would be at a McDonald's. And so when they got to the McDonald's, he was not there, okay? And so what ended up happening is some people saw him, and then they flagged down a police officer, and that's how he was arrested. So he did call on himself. However, he wasn't at the McDonald's when they went to the McDonald's. And like I'm saying, there was probably some time that transpired in between, because this is not one of those deals where you get a tip and you just go right out to that tip. You have to take all the safety precautions when it comes down to it, because this could be a trap. And so in this situation, there would have been a lot of moving pieces when it came down to it. Another interesting thing about this case is back in 1990, he had a terrorist threat charge against him. Now, that terrorist threat charge was reduced down to harassment, and he received 1 year of probation. Now, for those of you who might not know how our court system works, usually cases are pled down. Okay, so usually cases don't go to trial. They get played down to lesser charges. And so in this situation where it's terrorist threat, they reduce it down to harassment. He's placed on probation for 1 year, which means it's probably an informal probation case. It's a misdemeanor case. So he's not being supervised by a probation officer. Basically, the court says, look, you're going to be on informal probation for 1 year. If you don't get in trouble or anything like that, then the probation terminates and you're fine. So that's most likely what happened in this case. And then the judge will probably say you need to take some type of a course or something like that, anger management or something, and then provide that information to the court. That's generally what happens in these informal cases, this 1 year of probation. So in this case, we don't know exactly how that whole probation thing played out, but that's most likely what happened. So in the situation here, he'd been contacted by police officers before. He had been arrested before, I think like 9 different times for different charges. And the terrorist threat, of course, that's the one that the media is focused on, because terrorist threats, and he ends up doing an act of terrorism later down the road. So that's what they were focused on. But the reality is most of these cases that go through the court system, they're pled down. They don't go to trial. It's not like you see on TV where all these cases are going to trial. No, it doesn't happen like that. The vast majority of cases are pled down, and they strike a deal. And usually the deal would mean very little jail time, if any jail time, and then placed on probation. That's generally what happens. Okay, so this next story that I want to talk about is the U.S. Sun. Now, I've talked about the U.S. Sun before, and they put out very misleading headlines all the time. Okay, and I'm going to read this headline to you, and you let me know what you think it means. Okay, so Americans to receive checks worth $1,657 in just 4 days, and your birthday will decide when you'll get the cash. That is the headline from the U.S. Sun, okay? Now, what they are referring to, they're referring to Social Security checks, okay? And they're taking that average. The average person on Social Security receives $1,657, and that recently increased because of COLA, but that's what they're talking about. They're talking about Social Security checks that were already going out to people receiving Social Security. It's not a new check. It's nothing like that. They're talking about their birthday, and they explain all this in the article. But it's so misleading when you read the headline. You think, okay, well, there's checks. These new checks are going out to the American people. And they don't specify that it's going out to people on Social Security. It just says Americans, right? And so these articles like this, they really are bad, because they get people thinking, oh, I'm going to be receiving this check, or how do I get this check? and they don't realize, oh, it's people that are on Social Security, which the article explains. But why are you getting people to that point where they're thinking and they're hoping that something's going to happen when the reality is you have to be on Social Security already to receive this check? So very, very misleading. I just wanted to put that out there to you guys. I know you guys appreciate when I find these different articles and let you know, because some people will look at this article and say, oh yeah, it looks like I'm going to be receiving a check. But the reality is that headline is just getting you to click on the article. And when you look at the article, it's not what it says it is. And the last thing I want to talk about is this gas rebate, because I've had some people ask me about different gas rebates. When will I receive it? I live in New Jersey. I posted a video a couple of days ago about New Jersey. There's a proposal out there. Most of these are just proposals at this point. The only state, to my knowledge, the only state that has moved forward and actually voted and passed a gas rebate is New Mexico. Okay, so the other states, they're talking about it. There are proposals out there, but it hasn't gone past that proposal stage. So in New Jersey, the same situation, $250 per individual tax filer. If it's joint filer, it's going to be $500. That is just a proposal. It has not gone anywhere. It hasn't gone through state legislation yet. So as of this point right now, it's just talk. Okay, so it's a proposal. Politicians come together and they say, hey, this would be a good idea. Let's try to move this forward. And that's where it is right now. They have not moved it forward as of this point right now. So it becomes a little difficult because you have all these different states at play. So as the states start to let us know, okay, we're moving forward with legislation, we passed it, I'll let you guys know. But as of today, New Mexico is the only state that's actually passed a gas rebate. So if you guys have any other questions, post them down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.